We start off right where we left off, with Joo In-Gong rushing in to attack Karok, who just easily deflects the blow. But this time, something is different. Karok thinks to himself that Joo In-Gong's movements are much better now. As Joo In-Gong continues to attack, Karok is totally puzzled, wondering why he was so clumsy at the start. It's like his skill suddenly got way better overnight. With one massive strike of his wooden sword, Karok sends Joo In-Gong flying back a bit, but this time, our boy lands perfectly on his feet with a new confidence. Joo In-Gong smirks and asks, "How's that? Not bad, right?" As they take a small breather, Joo In-Gong asks Karok what level he is. Karok replies that he was level 21 the last time he checked. Our boy excitedly opens his status window, exclaiming that he should catch up soon, as we see his level is now 7. Now, in this world, everyone has levels, but they can't just pull up a screen and check their stats like our boy can. They have to use a special evaluation spell. In other words, being able to see all your stats and add extra points whenever you want is a huge advantage, basically a superpower. Right after, Joo In-Gong lunges forward to strike again, and as their wooden swords clash, he thinks to himself, "I can become stronger, faster than anyone else." As they go at it, we learn a little more about the game. The demon arc of Night Saga is all about the story of Zephyr, the main villain, and how he crushes all of his siblings to become the new Demon King. There are a ton of episodes in the game, but the most important one is the grand finale. We see a picture of Zephyr standing among the bodies of his dead family. This event is known as the Great Massacre, and it happens in the year 517 of the game's calendar. We see our boy sitting on a log in the forest, and this is where he starts to sweat. He realizes that if the story plays out like the game, he's going to be one of those bodies on the floor. He checks the date. It's currently the year 512. That means he still has some time before the big event. Right then and there, he becomes determined to get strong enough to make sure that bloody future never happens.
Just then, Karok walks up, saying he's been looking everywhere for the prince. Our boy is confused, but Karok reminds him about the meeting happening today. Joo In-Gong looks back worriedly, asking what meeting. Karok just tells him to hurry up because everyone's waiting. We cut back to the camp, where Joo In-Gong is sitting nervously at a meeting table with 2 new guests, the 7th prince, Chris Moonlight, and the 8th princess, Caitlin Moonlight. Chris tells him to relax and stop being so polite since they're siblings, but Caitlin points out it's their first time meeting. She kindly tells our boy to just call them by their names. We learn that these 2 are the children of the 4th queen, the queen of the lycanthropes, and in the game, they are a real pain in the neck. But here's the juicy secret. A year before the massacre, these 2 are killed by Zephyr and the other children, and the reason for that is the secret of Caitlin's birth. She's a bastard daughter. Suddenly, a furious Chris asks Joo In-Gong why he fought those red orcs without following the plan, reminding him that she told him to just go on patrol. Of course, she has no idea that Joo In-Gong isn't the real prince. Joo In-Gong nervously says he didn't know they'd come from there. Hearing this, a worried Caitlin gets up to check on him, which completely surprises our boy. She comes close, asking if he's hurt anywhere, and he's just too stunned to speak. She exclaims that our boy is the weakest of all of them and that he has to be more careful, all while touching his face. He nervously apologizes, thinking to himself, since when were the Demon King's children this close? After she sits back down, Chris tells him he's in for a real scolding if he ever does something so dangerous again. Joo In-Gong just nervously agrees. He thinks to himself, what the hell? Are they actually kind? Then, Joo In-Gong has a big brain moment. He remembers that the lycanthropes are famous for being aura users. He thinks back to how he got the swordsmanship skill after getting hit by Karok. He figures if he uses the same method, maybe he can learn aura just as easily. So with a sparkle in his eyes, he asks Chris for a favor. He asks her if she can hit him using her aura. Chris looks horrified and concerned, like he just asked her to eat a spider. Caitlin is just stunned and speechless.
We cut away to a rocky mountain, where the main battle is happening. Green orcs are completely dominating the red orcs. It's a one-sided massacre. Then we see a giant red orc slashing through his own fellow red orcs as they look on, stunned. Some of them think they're finally safe, right before getting sliced in half by their giant ally. One brave red orc manages to scratch the big one, who slowly turns and gives him a gaze that could probably stare a hole through a mountain. The poor little orc recoils in fear right before the big one slams him into the ground, taking out other red orcs in the process. The big guy then shouts to kill them all, saying he'll reward whoever gets the most kills as the battle continues. Then, we see our boy waking up again in that same dark space, confused. He sees the beautiful angel lady slowly approaching him and asks if she's the one from last time. But then he turns around, shocked to see 3 other people there. One man stands in the back, another has fire for hair, and the last one looks really scary, with a skullish head and pitch-black eyes. Joo In-Gong realizes he has never seen these characters in Night Saga. The woman slowly approaches him from behind, and as he looks back, the light begins to fade. He's woken up in bed, staring at the ceiling, completely confused about what just happened. He sits up, holding his head, questioning if it was all a dream. Suddenly, Karok's scary face pops into view, asking, "Ya up?" which makes our poor boy scream his head off. After complaining that Karok scared him, Karok walks away, telling him he's fine. He then asks why Joo In-Gong asked the princess to hit him, saying he kept whining and begging, and look where it got him, stuck in bed. But before Karok can finish his sentence, he slowly looks back, realizing our boy has learned aura. We see Joo In-Gong looking at his hands in excitement, claiming he can feel the aura flowing. A shocked Karok comes over, asking if you can really awaken your aura just by getting hit with it. Joo just says, somewhat, while still looking at his hands in amazement. Karok then asks if that's also why they were suddenly full of energy when fighting the Lightning Tribe, and our boy proudly says, yeah, that was me. Curious, Joo In-Gong asks if anything happened while he was asleep. Karok replies that of course something happened. The main force won against the Lightning Tribe too. Our Mick questioningly asks, main force? He says he thought Chris, Caitlin, and him were the only ones tasked with taking them down. Karok explains there's no way they could have known how big that tribe was. Questioningly, our Mick asks who was in charge of the main force. Karok replies, General Bandal. Joo In-Gong asks in surprise, what? Bandal? We learn that General Bandal was the giant red ogre we saw fighting earlier. Joo In-Gong says he is one of the strongest guys out there and that he really liked him as a subordinate when he was playing as Zephyr. Then, a shocking realization hits him. This might be his chance. In the game, Bandal becomes Zephyr's subordinate in the year 515. That means he isn't Zephyr's subordinate yet. Our Mick starts to lick his lips, thinking he can just take Bandal for himself. He knows everything about him, what rewards he likes, what foods he likes, and most importantly, the secret to making Bandal your ally is to defeat him in a duel.
Back at Caitlin's camp, we hear Chris shout, "What?" in complete surprise. Both he and Caitlin are totally shocked that Joo In-Gong reached the first level of aura expulsion in a single day. Joo In-Gong just smirks, explaining that he put all of his new stat points into aura. He says it wasn't a rash decision. Aura improves one's physical capabilities, which is much more useful to him right now than telekinesis. Chris insists it's impossible, but then a thought crosses his mind. He asks Joo In-Gong if this power is because he's a Gandharva. Chris's tone then turns a little more serious. He asks if Joo In-Gong can make an underground map. Joo In-Gong is confused, asking, underground map? He thinks to himself that while he can't exactly make one, he does have a mini-map, which is basically a cheat sheet. So he confidently says that's simple, and just asks for a pen and paper. The day goes by, and we see that Joo In-Gong has finished making the map. Chris is completely surprised by the detail and accuracy, slapping Joo In-Gong's shoulder and calling him a genius. Joo In-Gong just laughs nervously. Caitlin then exclaims excitedly that since they wiped out the Scarlet Lightning Tribe's patrol, the main tribe doesn't know about these underground tunnels. Chris agrees, saying they should be able to ambush them. He then says there's something else he needs to ask, as Joo In-Gong looks at him questioningly. We cut to them walking through a mountain area with several green orcs following along. Karok questioningly asks if their mission is to patrol the area again. Joo In-Gong says he has no choice, since he's the youngest sibling. Karok, ever hopeful, says that at least they have reinforcements this time.
As they walk, they see two hooded figures in their path. It's revealed to be Caitlin and another girl. Joo In-Gong asks what's with the robes, and Caitlin tells him to be quiet, explaining that she's following him in secret, just in case. She says she'll step in if things get dangerous. Joo In-Gong just smiles nervously, thinking she's a little bit stupid for being so openly supportive. The other girl greets Joo In-Gong. Her name is Sarah, and she's an adjutant. After they exchange greetings, the girls say they'll just keep up from a distance, and Joo In-Gong agrees. Back in the dark, eerie cave, we see the team walking through the halls. They find all the caverns are empty, and the treasures they saw before are gone. The dwarves must have taken it all. Joo In-Gong asks Karak what about the weapons they took last time, and Karak figures maybe those weren't considered valuable enough by the dwarves. The team continues to walk deeper into the dark cave. Karak suddenly warns Joo In-Gong that something is coming their way. Joo In-Gong says he hears it too, and after checking his mini-map, he confirms it must be them. He opens his inventory, saying he took a flash spell, just in case something like this happened. He tells everyone to close their eyes when he gives the signal. As they stare down the dark cave, they see a bunch of glowing eyes staring back.
Suddenly, a horde of stone spiders comes running at the group. We learn that stone spiders often appear in caves, always in groups of dozens, and they possess a strong paralysis poison. Joo In-Gong shouts for everyone to close their eyes as he throws the flash potion into the air. It breaks on impact, creating a blinding light that stuns the stone spiders, who shriek in pain. Joo In-Gong then shouts at everyone to attack and kill all the spiders. Stone spiders are rendered useless if they're exposed to bright light because they live their entire lives in darkness. The orcs rush forward, weapons in hand, to kill the spiders. Even with the advantage, the spiders fight back with desperation, but the green orcs begin chopping off their legs one by one. Joo In-Gong hangs back, checking his mini-map. He exclaims that stone spiders always hunt in groups, so there's bound to be a leader. He sees a big red dot on the map and shouts for Karak to follow him. The duo makes their way through the chaos of the fight, rushing forward to where the boss is. They come face to face with a massive stone spider with many eyes and razor-sharp teeth, ready to devour them both. Karak jumps forward, weapon in hand, to attack the giant beast. He makes several slashes, but is shocked to see he didn't even leave a dent, saying its exterior is too hard. Worryingly, Joo In-Gong says he forgot about that. He exclaims that the creature's weakness is fire, but he can't use fire magic yet. The boss locks onto the group and rushes at them to attack. Joo In-Gong nervously shouts at Karak to use fire, but Karak confusingly yells back, "Where am I supposed to get fire from?" Just then, a voice from the back tells our boy to raise his sword. As he does, his sword is suddenly engulfed in flames. He excitedly exclaims, "Magic?" He looks behind him and sees it was his sister, Princess Caitlin, who cast the spell. She asks if that's enough for him. The boss attacks Joo In-Gong, but he looks at the oncoming attack confidently, with new determination in his eyes. We see an explosion of debris where the boss's leg smashes down, but our boy is already gone. We see him dashing up the boss's leg, his fire sword in hand, as he casts the skill Burning Blade, delivering several fiery cuts into the monster.